Hi, Nicole. It's nice to meet you. I'm Kelly Boyle with TV Insider. This is my first day on the Survivor exit interview press, but my not my first day of Survivor interviews by far. So I'm really excited to talk to you about this episode. I really enjoyed you, and I was really sad that you were the first boot of this season. I thought you were so funny and fun to watch, and I'm going to miss you throughout the season.
Thank
But
you.
yeah, what we have to start with the big change that occurred the night before filming began of this season. So when and how did you and the rest of the cast find out that those two players were cut from the game? And what was your reaction to that news?
The morning the game started, we found out when we all showed up in our tribe outfits, and I wasn't surprised, to be honest. I was like, okay, wow, that's crazy. That is crazy that that just happened, but also, okay, like that happened because X, Y, and Z. So it was like a product of a situation that happened, and that was that. So it was shocking, but I was like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it sounds like it certainly was a shocking situation. And did you witness any of that like alleged pre-gaming that was happening between them? And what did you see?
I did. I don't know if I can talk about that. But yeah, you just see people you get a set list of rules and there are rules you have to follow. And I just saw people not following the rules. And that was that. I think that's all I can say with that regard.
Can you say how it made you feel? Like, did it make you mad to see rules being broken like that?
Yeah, I think, I respect the integrity of the game, and that is this concept that, the boat, there's a shipwreck, and you gotta come onto shore and play a game and survive. And when people aren't following the rules prior to game, it ruins the integrity of the game. And so, yeah, I was like, what the hell are you guys doing? Like that's not allowed. I was literally like, that's not allowed. Um, but I was also like, they're doing it that is going to implicate their own game, right? They're making a decision and that's gonna play into their game. But it also gets you in the mindset of, oh my God, the game is already starting. Like, I need to be on, I need to do something now. And so it changes your mental outlook on when the game is starting and what has already happened in the game. If that makes sense.
It does, yeah. So was there like a vibe shift for you when you first got on the beach because of that?
I would say so. I would say I like truly, truly. I think it kind of it kind of threw me off a little bit in terms of just how I was going to approach the game and how I was going to start the game. I went in with a very like distinct strategy of I was going to act, pointed and try and act a little bit dumber than I was, but I felt like, you do pregame and it does implicate your mental and how you're going to attack the game. So I would say yes, it did.
Yeah, and it's like you have your conceptions of how you'll play the game before you go in. Then you actually get there and you're like, there was no point in planning.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, because you don't know who you're going to be surrounded by, and you don't know how they're going to act and what their, change up in their own strategy is going to be. So a lot of moving parts. Yeah, it was crazy. It was just crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that Jeff had teased a lot that the heat was really intense in Fiji during filming. So there was a scene when you got sick in this episode. So what was that the heat that caused it? Was it nerves?
No,
What happened there?
it was nothing other than this is so funny. It was the third day, and I hadn't eaten. Right, you had a piece of coconut. That's not real. Um, you hadn't eaten, and I had a vitamin. Like they give you a vitamin. I had a vitamin on an empty stomach, and I got sick. Like that truly was it. It hit my stomach, and I got sick literally 3 seconds after. It was not a mental thing. It was not a physical thing. It was I don't take supplements, so it was okay. Here's a supplement on an empty stomach. So.
Oh, that's suck. And how did you
Yeah.
react when you saw that that was in the final edit?
I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, people are gonna think that I can't handle it. And it's like, no, it was a electrolyte. I was like, I was like, whatever. But it's funny. I just have to laugh at it and I don't even know. It's hysterical.
Hey, I mean, you had these exit interviews, so now you can clear the air and say it was a
Exactly.
day. It was a vitamin, okay? It's not
It
my fault.
was.
Yeah.
I know my truth. I know my truth, and that brings me peace. That's all I can say.
Yeah. And so after the immunity challenge and you were back at camp and everything, tribal deliberations are happening. Did you note were there any scenes of you trying to strategize with other players that we maybe didn't see in the final cut? Because we didn't see much of you talking to other people.
You didn't at all. Which was funny. You didn't at all. But I had built a relationship with Alex up until that point that I felt like was a very, I felt like that was a good alliance. And the perception that doesn't really come through in the episode was that I had a good relationship with him and he was kind of my ticket into this group of four. And so I felt as though the four, though, was me, Alex, Jake, and Sophie. Whereas the real four that kind of came through in the episode was maybe Jeremiah, Sophie, Alex, and Jake. And so Alex did a really good job of making me feel included, but I had talked strategy with him, talked strategy with Sophie, talk strategy with Jeremiah, Alex. Annie was really the only one I didn't talk to because they did a good job of making us feel contentious. Uh, but there were a lot of conversations that were had. There were idol searching that was had that didn't come through. So, yes, absolutely. To answer your
And,
question.
yeah, and when did you realize that Alex had duped you a bit and you weren't part of that four? It was a different four.
It was like on the third day when we got up. It was probably 3 in the morning, but we thought the sun was rising. Really, it was the moon, just coming into orbit or whatever. And we got up on the beach and sat up and talked a little bit. And just the way that the four of them were sitting, it was like they were sitting and I was here, and then Annie was over there, but it felt like this was the four. And I felt that a little in me. And then I had conversation with Alex later that day, and he kind of calmed my nerves. But I would say like at tribal council when I'm being voted out, I was like, oh, really wasn't in the four. Really wasn't. So
Yeah, and we saw you start to notice that in tribal. Like you turned around and asked, "Am I okay?" And earlier in an interview, you had said, "Like I'm going to play my shot in the dark,
I know.
leave it on in the first episode if I need it." You were really like gung ho about that. So, what did you observe in tribal that made you not play your shot in the dark?
Right. Yeah, great question. I went into tribal saying I'm 50-50 on playing my shot in the dark because it felt logical at that point in Annie vote out. It just did. Like that made logical sense to me. And the way that we had talked about it as a group made sense. And so um I went in 50-50, and then I turned to Alex at one point after Jeremiah says it's between two people. And I'm like, okay, he's probably insinuating it's me and Annie, but I thought he was just saying that to appease Annie. I don't know why he was saying it. Whatever. I turned to Alex. I said, "Hey, am I good?" And he says, "Yeah, you're good." So instead of being 50-50 after I asked him, I was like 30-70. I was like, "Okay, I don't need to play my shot in the dark," because I trusted Alex at that point. I did. We had somewhat of a relationship at that point. So I just decided not to play it in that moment. I went in and I said, "Nah, I'll just save it for next week if I need it." So, yeah, that was that.
Did you have any hesitation in the voting booth?
No,
Mm.
not at all. No. After I asked Alex, I was like, okay, I won't. I won't. I believe no, I don't. I didn't.
Yeah, and before you at the camps, you were observing everybody. You're like, I can sniff out a liar because of your career, right? You
Yeah.
feel confident that you could do that. So what did you sniff out during that? What made you confident? What made you nervous?
What made me confident was that people what made me confident was my relationship with Alex. Honestly, he was my kind of ticket into this mental safety zone of okay, I'm fine. But there were some people who were raising red flags to me, like Sophie and Jeremiah, who I didn't initially click with. And because of that, I feel like I can naturally connect with people, and I had difficulty connecting with them in the beginning. And so I thought that that was maybe the inability to connect was because they were already planning my vote out. So that they kind of threw some red flags my way, but Alex did a really good job of making me feel safe. So I was kind of battling those two conflicting perspectives.
Right. And other than Annie, who do you think strategy wise would have been the best player to vote out from this team? They really
Yeah.
set it up so it was like either you or Annie. Um,
Yeah,
but I don't know that bromance that was going on to me, I would have been like, let's split that up. They have too much power already.
I know. I agree. I think Alex would have been a good vote out, but I was working with him, so I think by default, Jake. But Jake was also really strong. Like we needed him in competitions. He was our like bulky guy. Um, so while I think he would have been a good vote out from like a social play, it would have been hard challenge wise because we had already felt a little bit lackluster in that department. So I think it would have been hard convincing the group to vote him out. So I don't think I would have went for it. Maybe Sophie, she had a lot of social capital. The guys really liked her. She fit in really well with people. Um, so maybe her. Everyone did a good job though. I mean, anyone but me, right? Like if anyone, I was all
Well,
gung ho. So,
we didn't see what strategy you were playing out in those talks. We
I
didn't see it in the final edit. So I wonder what was your campaign? What were you saying to save yourself?
Yeah, well, I was on this. They did a really good job of making Annie feel like weak, which Annie in the grand scheme of things is not weak. She's a badass, right? But they did a good job of that. And so I was participating in that sort of dialogue. And I also was participating in this dialogue of like I'm here for the team. Like I am here. I will vote however you want me to vote. Like I was kind of pitching that I'll be a number for them, right? Like I didn't want to seem threatening in any sense of the word. So I didn't want to say like that I felt good at puzzles, which up until that point I wasn't in their eyes, and I wasn't based on how the performance went. So I was just like, hey, I'll ride and die with you guys. Like wherever you want me to vote, I'll vote however you want me to vote. I was with them. That was kind of my pitch. That was my pitch for that. I didn't want to seem threatening in any sense.
Yeah, and what else do you wish fans could have seen from this episode?
I wish they could have seen some of that strategizing. It felt very like lay down and die a little bit. Or I was just the I got like a stray. I just got shot and I took it. But no, there was that strategy. I did have those relationships with Alex. I did have those conversations with Jake and Sophie and Jay and even Annie and I had some of those conversations. So that would have been nice, but that's wishful thinking. I'm happy with the episode, happy with the edit. I'm grateful. So that's all you can hope for.
Yeah, I wonder, did anything from the premiere, the final cut of it, did watching it change your perspective and understanding of how you got voted out?
No, honestly, no. No. Because I've had conversations with folks after, right? And they were able to provide some of that clarity. I think the edit was gracious, right? I felt grateful that there was only that one disgusting, embarrassing moment of me being sick. Because they could have who knows? Maybe there's other footage out there where I look like a total idiot. So no, it didn't change my perception. I think I had a good read on the situation outside of the fact that they were actually voting me out instead of Annie.
Could you share a little bit of what you learned from those conversations with other contestants after the fact that helped you get things better?
Yeah, I think it just re-emphasized the fact that I didn't like fit in with that core four. Like I just don't think that and maybe it was me not doing a good job at trying to ingratiate, though I felt I did. I just think, Survivor is like a microcosm of the world. Like some people you like some people, you don't like some people, and I think there was just, well, it didn't gel as naturally as maybe relationships that I had with other people would have. And that's fine.